Good morning.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Whatever time you're watching, we welcome you to another episode of
An honest conversation.
I'm your co-host, Mark Lambert.
I'm your co-host, Tyler Ingram, and we are here to lay down some truth.
Oh, this is a good one.
That's a good one. It's a good one, and
We say that about all of
they
them.
are good. Well, I mean, because
They're all good.
honestly, I think you're pretty good.
I think I'm pretty good too. Yeah, appreciate that.
That was your time to maybe throw a little. You're pretty good too.
I
Tyler.
didn't think I needed to state the
No,
obvious.
you didn't need to state the obvious. I already know it. And I have major self-esteem issues, but no, man, it's good to be together. We just finished up almost 4 nights vacation Bible school. And the older I get, man, like don't get me wrong, like when I get here, I'm excited, and I'm glad for the kids. Kids are excited, but the older I get, man, the more I'm just like, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm tired, and somebody else needs to do this. But the kids had a good time.
you
and
feel bad because you're ready to go home each night.
I feel bad because I don't want to film each night. No,
Okay.
well, that and I used to struggle with that. Like I'm like, I should want, and really the honest truth is that I don't want to go outside of my yard after 5 o'clock. Now,
Listen,
days,
I
don't know.
leave work like I'm late for the house.
Oh, absolutely. I feel for you, man. I don't have a real job. I work for me, so I work for God. I work for me, and unfortunately, God is a good boss. Unfortunately, I'm a terrible guy to work for, but.
So he's the boss, but you're the supervisor, and you can't stand you.
Well, and then I picked up, helping. I'm doing some summer workouts with Red Levels football team and coaching that, and so which I'm really passionate about that. I love doing it, but I had nothing else to do, so between. But I will say we're getting some much needed rain right now. Our corn was desperate for some rain, and we're getting. I think we've got like over 2 inches of rain the last couple of days. And also since February, I haven't stopped. So you know what I've done for the last 2 days after workouts?
Spraying?
Nope, it's been raining.
Can't spray in the rain.
So I've been sitting on my couch watching TV after workouts.
I bet you've been watching the World Cup. You're a soccer. You strike me as a soccer man.
Yeah, I remember Coach Zeston when I was in high school. Or not high school, I was in elementary. And back then you had to learn something in PE.
Right.
So we learned about soccer one semester, and I really did. I enjoyed it. I didn't like the rules. I played fullback, which is what the position I played on the real football. But you could only go so far. You couldn't. It was like being kind of caged. It was, but it was an enjoyable experience. Nothing better than if at the end of my life, if they do like some kind of video at my funeral, I want it to be narrated by a Mexican soccer announcer.
Go!
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing more intense in this world than that. So, but no, yeah. So we got some good rain. So I've got a little bit of rest. My mornings are early, so I'm up at 5, and I go get my workout in, and then on Tuesday and Thursday we have the girls at 7, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we have the boys at 8. So tomorrow's gonna be a long morning.
Yeah, you get to see my wife more than I do during the week.
Yeah, and I feel for you.
My daughter loves you, by the way.
She does.
No,
really? She don't. She can't stand me, but that's okay because I'm used to it.
What people or girls in general not liking you, or women people in general?
No, well, I mean, obviously, I'm not out. Well, let's don't get that conversation. That's a little weird, but no, yeah, no. Well, they all think I'm crazy. To them, I probably am, but
anybody that has to lift weight with.
Well, I tell them this, and it's something that I strive for in my life. I don't really do it all the time, but because none of us are perfect. But I always say to the girls, I say to the guys, how you do anything, how we do everything.
That is very true.
So it's a really great saying. It's a better saying. I mean, it's easier to say than it is to do. But
is that Nick Saban?
I don't know.
Maybe you're a big Saban quote guy.
I am a big Saban quote guy. I'm an Auburn man. I love Auburn and War dadgum Eagle, son. But the man had a point. The man knew what he was doing. I like him. I like him a lot better now. Yeah, absolutely. It was just the uniform. But so we have I wish we had a button so we could go hot topic.
We do. I'll try to figure
Yeah,
out what
I
it
want a
is.
big man. I want the 4 full alarm holiday family Christmas. This is what we're about to do. It's finna get tight. And here's the crazy part. I don't even understand why this is a hot topic. I don't understand. And I know we really don't have, I know that a lot of people have come, like, oh, you and Mark agree on everything. Necessarily.
Always.
I think we do agree on this particular subject, but I think there are some different ways to look at it. But I mean, it has been crazy, man. So if you're not on social media, which you're blessed, by the way, you really are. I mean, we're out here. You're over there, don't even know what's going on, and we're dodging bullets over here on social media. And I really do wish I could give it. I do feel like somewhat that social media is a bit of an idol for me. Not because I worship it or anything, but like I find it hard to give up because, like, well, we're on social media with podcasts. I like being on social media with the gospel, whatever's going on in my life. I like to share stuff like that. I was really good at show and tell in school. If you didn't know, career day stuff like that. I really like things like that. But so I didn't get to go this past time. I hadn't been to a Southern Baptist convention. We are a Baptist church here. Um, I wouldn't say with all certainty that I am a Baptist man. I'm really not, actually, honestly. It's not that. I mean, there's some things that I can get along with. There's some things that I don't really necessarily. I think you feel the same way, and I think everybody's that way if they're honest. I'm not. I mean, I am. God has placed me at a Baptist church. I didn't really realize how much hate there was out there for Baptists here, until here recently. But some of it is earned.
Oh, I was going to say I understand it completely as an adult.
Some of it is earned, but some of it is not earned. And I think anytime you go against, especially now, and I just want to start this whole thing before we even get into it, is I want you to understand that we've been in these days, but we really, really, really are. We're chest deep, and they will call evil good, and they'll call good evil. And I just, and that's not necessarily this particular subject we're going to talk about tonight, but um, it just is. I mean, like you look at the justification, you see I mean, it's ridiculous. You see the justification for abortion, like, well, it's my body, it's my right. Well, your rights left when you laid down. I'm just here to tell you, you had a choice, and you made a choice. And once you make a choice, like that fires me up, dude. And I mean, I'm not bashing people because we have all made mistakes. I've done horrible things in my past that I'm ashamed of. Um, but for you to sit there and say, "Oh well, it's my body, it's my choice." Well, your choice left when you decided to have sex. I mean, there's only one foolproof way not to have a baby.
Right. And as a caveat, because I'm sure
Yeah,
somebody's going to say there are circumstances where
maybe,
people did not have a choice.
maybe,
in violent
situations.
Absolutely.
I'm not, even if you did, and like, this is not because but I'm just saying, like, I don't justify I'm not trying to justify, like, I've done things in my past, and my kid would say to me, I have 4 sons, and they would say, well, Dad, you did this. I am not the book you want to read for what to do just because I did something is not. So I'm not justifying. So I'm with you. Like, if you're mad about what I just said, that's fine. But like, I don't justify fornication, although I partook of that early in my life. I don't justify, uh, you know, having hate in your heart, but I did that. I'm not justifying anything, but the reality is that we try to excuse everything away. Well, when does a baby become a baby? We're smarter than God, so let's just figure this out because we got science and we got microscopes and we got people who said something. I mean, God, I mean, just like, dude, like, you know what? You're looking at a man who was a boy at one time, and my oldest son, I found out he was on his way. I wasn't ready to be a father. And things crossed my mind about how do I get the immediate reaction for me was, how do I get out of this? because you're and anybody who says any different, it's a lot. We say this all the time. Like, just be honest, man. Just be honest. Like, and I am so glad, even though there are so many things that went wrong, not with my kids, but with my life at that time. Like, I don't regret a day. Like, I don't regret. I don't. My life was, to me, like, I had these big football aspirations. I had been at Auburn, and I was on academic probation, so I was back at junior college, and I was going to play at another college, and I found out I'm about to be a father. Well, how do I get out of this? And thank God I had great parents who were like, "Hey, you got to man up, and you wanted to be an adult. So guess what you're finna get to be? You're finna get to be an adult." And like a lot of people wouldn't admit that. Like they wouldn't admit that somebody like me who's a pastor, been a pastor almost about 14 years. But I did. I did those things, and I heard a lot of people, and went through a divorce and all those things. So I've been so when you look at me and you say, "Oh, he's just," no, brother, no, sister. I've been in a lot of bad situations. You know what I'm saying? Like and a lot of it brought on by my own sin and my own shortcomings. So when we start trying to reason things out and we're trying to get to what we're actually going to talk about, but I think
there's going to be some reasoning in that.
There is, but I think that it's important to talk about why we should not try to defend our sin or defend our shortcomings. I'm not defending anything. I mean, dude, I say it all the time on Sunday morning. If you had to haul my sin that I've done in my life by the truckload, it would fill this building we're sitting in is 20 something thousand square feet, and it'd fill it up and then some. So I say all that so maybe you kind of see, hey, I know what it's like to be on the other end of the stick. So I'm not just talking like, oh well, I don't have the perfect life. I didn't, I didn't just I haven't, I got married and I waited for marriage and all those things that you hope you do, and then life somehow just spirals, and you find yourself where I found myself. And man, I love my boys. I love all four of them. They're great boys. Wouldn't take anything, every ounce of pain or that I've inflicted or that was inflicted upon me. I wouldn't take anything for that. I'm not saying there's not a situation, but do not justify it by saying, well, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like
I do. And even as old as we are now in our 40s, our
40s, I'm 27. I don't know.
Our understanding of things is not perfect. So understand that we're really going to get to the topic in just a second.
We are.
But understand that
we're building a platform.
We're building a platform. Our discussion of this is not the end all be all. This is simply us having an honest conversation because many of you have discussed this with your friends, with your family, with your church members. And we're just going to give you
maybe you don't even know.
Yeah, a lot of you may not even know. So we're going to give you our take on it. You may like it, you may not, and that's okay.
Here's what's crazy. Like I didn't even know this was up for discussion. This topic. I didn't even know that we're voting on it, and I'm like, or the Southern Baptist Convention voted on it, down in Orlando.
So let's tell them what we're talking about. Let's go ahead and stop beating around the bush. There was a motion brought up at the most recent Southern Baptist Convention to ban and or remove
women
churches who allow women pastors to serve in a pastoral role in the Southern Baptist Convention.
And here's what it's not. Okay. So I have seen at least 500 different posts about this.
Oh yeah.
And it's, I posted this the other night, Mark, and and I checked it the next morning because I figured I was going to get some kickback. And you know what? God must have been watching over me because it never showed up on my feed. It was not there. But I'm going to say it again. And if God really don't want me to say it, then it'll be blanked out of this podcast. But, the Apostle Paul dealt with prison, the mob at Ephesus, shipwreck. I mean, he's got stories. I mean, like when we get to heaven, I'm like, I really, So we'll have enough time.
Yeah.
Like, so I can sit down and I can say, really tell me like what it was like. And he's going to be like, man, they stoned me. Well, actually, he's probably going to be like, man, dude, none of it, we're not even going to worry about it. But from our physical side here, we're just like, hey, man, what was it like, man? They stoned me. It didn't work. I went out of there with I swallowed a couple teeth, this, that, and the other. And he's gonna be like, "What was it like for you?" I was like, "Dude, we had to read Facebook theology. There are some real idiots out there. You hear me? Like, dude, I'm not. I don't mean that ugly. I don't mean that. Like, I read some people's people, and you may say, well, you don't know what you're talking about, and that's fine. You don't have to. I say this all the time. You don't have to. I don't care. I really don't care if you don't like what I say. I don't care if you don't like me, and there's many people that don't. So that's cool. Like somebody had told me a few weeks ago I should run for some public office, and I was like, look, dude, I got enough people hate me. I don't need any more. But the reality is I've seen at least 500. Oh, the Baptists, they're saying that women can't even speak in church. No, that's not what was voted on. What was voted on was a woman being a pastor. And here's the reality: it doesn't matter. So, like The Rock in the '90s, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what and here's the other reality: it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter what he thinks. It don't. So let's just
But we're going to tell you what we think.
like I'm gonna be like one of my favorite theologians is preacher guys is Alistair Begg, and mainly because he speaks an Irish accent. So I feel like he's like Mel Gibson in Braveheart, but he's preaching the gospel. So immediately I give him like 20 IQ points just because he sounds really cool when he talks. But I'm just going to let's just go to scripture.
Let's go to scripture.
Let's go to scripture. So Mark's going to kick us off here, and you start us with wherever you want to start.
So I don't even know the name of the guy who brought up the amendment.
Al Mohler.
Okay. So now
I don't even know who that is.
Now you know. I don't know either. But now you know the name of the guy that brought up the amendment, and the amendment was based solely, maybe not solely, but mostly on 1 Timothy 2:11 through 12, which reads, "Let a woman learn in quietness with all subjection, but I don't permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man, but to be in quietness." Now,
I'm struggling over here because I'm going to say something probably before this is over that I'm joking about.
are you going to mention the 30 minutes of silence in heaven and Revelation? Oh, this is going to be fun.
Oh my gosh, dude! I hope my wife doesn't watch this. But now, see, here's the thing: people get on Facebook because I say a lot of things, like I do. Like I put a post out on Mother's Day, and I said, I told Brandy, which is my beautiful, wonderful wife, love her. And the thing that keeps us together first is God. Secondly, we both have this weird sense of humor.
I thought it was that she prayed for patience early on.
She's got a test, but and I said something like to the effect Brandy was washing dishes, and it was like, and I said, no wife of mine is gonna wash dishes on Mother's Day weekend. And then I said, you can wash them on Monday. Well, she knows. First of all, she knows. I know, but everybody else is like, people don't know, so they're just like, "Oh, you're in trouble now." I'm like, I'm not, because she we just do I'll tell you, man, when you find somebody, and she's not perfect, I'm not perfect by a long shot, but when you find somebody that you gel like that with, and God just makes a masterpiece out of your mess, because we really both were. But it's just like, here's what I want to say, and I want to say it very clearly, so everybody, before we even dive into this, I want to say something. My wife is more valuable than I am. So this is not a He-Man. We're not on Little Rascals.
We're not
the He-Man
woman haters club.
Yeah. She is beautiful in so many ways. She is a mother. She is everything to me. I mean, I could not articulate it in words what she means to me. But she has a role. and I have a role. And one thing I will say about her, now she looks at me sometimes, and I know, and she'll say, she don't usually say it in front of people, but she'll behind closed doors, she'll say, "Hey," and I listen. I think, man, if you're a godly man and you don't take advice from your wife, you're missing out. Because now sometimes I have to because now I'm the calm one in the relationship. A lot of people don't know that, but I am. She's the storm. I'm the, hey, what's that movie where the guy pulls the pistol out and the guy's like, no, 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 that's her. She's
I
one.
know
I don't know what the name of the movie is. He's
I
like
think it's a show on
pulling a gun
the
out.
Irish mob.
Yeah, and she's like, she's gonna pull the pistol. I'm like, whoa, no, no, we gotta love, we gotta do this, we gotta do. And so, women are the most precious gift that God could give a man.
Okay.
Without doubt.
I think your disclaimer is you got it. So I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, please do.
You're okay. What did Paul mean here?
I think
why did Paul write this?
Well, let's just go back. All right. Let's reel it in. Let's go all the way back to Genesis chapter 1 or 2, 3, whatever. First 3 chapters of Genesis. And all right, so what was Adam's role with Eve?
He was her husband.
And he was to lead his wife.
That's correct.
There's no
argument.
No arguments. Everybody blames Eve for the fall. And that's fun to do, like I tell my wife all the time when I ask her where we're going to eat and she don't know. And I'm like, yeah, that's because the last time a woman picked where we're going to eat, all mankind fell into hell and sin. I mean,
So if there's anything you should learn from that is stop asking. Just take her where you're going to eat. And if
here's the best trick
she eats, and if she don't,
here's the best trick in the world. You can be like, hey, guess where I'm taking you tonight? Whatever she says,
there you go. That's
but,
smart.
But anyway, so from the beginning, God made man, and he made man, and he made woman. Man is not more important than woman. Man, here's the reality, man. Like, people get so hung up on pastoring. You're a preacher, you're this, you're that, man. Just like calm down. All right. First of all, we all have a role, and every role is just as important as another role. So, like, Mark ran the audio video this week for VBS. His role was just as important as when Randy was doing the music and Jesse was. Your role was just important. Nobody saw you. Those kids probably never even saw you. But your role was, without you doing what you were doing, don't go. And so I go to where Paul says, we all have a different, am I going to say I'm mad because I'm the foot instead of the hand or the mouth or the ear? Now, we all have a role to play. Man, I believe that it is fully biblical, and there's really not anything that you can really go to go around that. I think it's pretty consistent through Scripture. And I know we're not under the old covenant. We do a lot of talking about that. But I also think there are things that God, we're not under the old covenant anymore. But, lying is still wrong. Right? Homosexuality, last time I checked, still wrong. Adultery, still wrong. We don't get saved by us, but yet God calls us when we get saved. God's calling us, or there's something. The Spirit of God starts working in you, and you're like, I don't want to do these. I want to do what God wants me to do. Now, I don't always do that, and I know God's like, hand to face half the time. He's really not, because he's not surprised, because he already knows. He knows Tyler. He knows how messed up I am. But anyway, so going back to Mark's role was just as important. He didn't have a microphone. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything to anybody in the church this whole week. But the role's still important. So I don't understand why it becomes a thing about, oh, well, you're sexist or you're this. No, I'm just reading the Bible. So I think that what Paul said in 2 Timothy was not everything. I think everything is like contextual. You gotta what's the context? What's you know, and I've even seen people like I can almost get along with somebody. I not get along, but I can almost be like, okay, well, somebody said, well, I think Paul was talking in Second Timothy. He was just talking to the church of Ephesus because of these problems or the. But Paul doesn't really address that. He doesn't say because you have these issues in this church. This is what it really feels like a blanket statement.
But let's talk about the issues. So a lot of folks may not know those issues. He is talking to Timothy about the church at Ephesus. Now, historically, the people in Ephesus had a history of Greek god worship, especially,
Corinth too.
but these were at Ephesus.
Right. But I'm just saying there was more than
Specifically the goddess Aphrodite. Okay, a female
yeah, I know who she is.
goddess.
Well, I mean, I don't know her personally, but I've heard.
So the thought there is that Paul is instructing Timothy to keep these women silent because what they were saying and how they were saying it was not scripturally accurate. It was off-putting to the gospel message. It wasn't helping. So he's telling them to be quiet. Okay. He doesn't spell that out. He doesn't say that that's the reason why he's telling that. You're right. It is a blanket statement. But we also, when we talk about the scripture about the lukewarm spitting you
Oh
out,
yeah.
okay, the Bible also doesn't spell out that he's using that because people at the time understood that there were hot springs and cold water. It's simply not spelled out. We make the effort to explain that during a sermon. So I think it's important not to leave out context when we talk about this scripture.
Well, so in First Timothy chapter 3, and all right, so in First Timothy, all right, so well, all right, so if you want to go that route, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying if we go there, and I totally understand that argument or that point of view. Well, okay, so Jesus never ever actually says you should not you should not be homosexual. He never said that.
Right.
Now, what he did say is a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife.
That's correct.
Right.
That is very clear
But
context.
it's very clear. But now I have seen some dudes that look like wives. You know what I'm saying?
Act like wives.
I don't. Doesn't go there. I'm gonna get real big in trouble. I don't understand. I don't understand. Anyway, so but like all right. So in First Timothy chapter 3, Paul also says, all right. He says, if a man seeks the office of overseer, which can a lot of people as a pastor,
That's often translated as elder.
but also it depends on your church theology, whatever. Some people call the pastor the elder. Mm-hmm. Either way, now there's some too. One of the things that I wish we had a board of elders. We have a board of deacons. Deacon and elder is not the same thing, but that's another podcast for another time. All right. And I would like to talk about that. But if a man seeks the office of an overseer, he desires a good work. Now, why? If Paul was opening up the ministry in the form of overseer, pastor, elder for a woman, why would he have said if a man or a woman? He says if a man.
Well, and it also goes on to say the husband of one wife. So clearly, he is specifically referring to a male.
Okay. All right. So this is where people probably come at me and say, well, you just said you've been divorced. All right.
You've never been married to two women.
Exactly.
That's what he's getting at.
Yeah. Well, some people take and here, and I've had people tell me, "Oh, I love to hear you preach this," but you've been married before and you got divorced, even though it was before I was saved or before I got in ministry or any of that. Which really was actually, if you knew the whole story, like it wasn't necessarily my choice exactly. But anyway, the point is, like, but then, like, to me, this is where I really think that you shut people up. So I read a book a few years ago called The Kingdom Man. about Tony Evans. Tony Evans is a great guy. I'm sure most people know his name. If I say it, you probably know him. But and I'm not going to credit all this to him because I don't know that he necessarily said this in the book, but he did say something that got me to thinking. So what constitutes marriage? We're going to get off on some. So is it standing before a preacher in a white dress and a black tux and saying I do? I really believe that marriage in God's eyes is consummation because we see a lot because in the Old Testament, if there was no consummation of the marriage was not official. You could get out of it. Now maybe I'm chasing squirrels, but the reality is and so when men who take that man and one wife will how many wives have you had? And then that's
I
when
guess you have to count the consummations.
and that's when people get quiet and they start squirming. And that's what's a beauty. This is why I say things with a lot of confidence sometimes. It's not because of me, it's because I know how wretched we all are. Even the good ones. People tell me all the time, you're such a good guy. I'm like, no, I was not. Was not. Like you have no idea the people I've hurt and the things I've done. Yeah, I've never killed anybody. I've never robbed a bank. I've tried to be a good guy, but in reality, a lot of people in my life because I was hurt. You know, so I know we try to go around things, but like my thing is like, all right, and it's just about being pastor. It's not saying we're not. I don't think the Bible says that. Yeah, it talks about them learning in silence and things like that, but you know what I will say about women, I'm going to be honest with you, and I think it's a lot due to the fact that men won't step up and do what God's calling them to do, and so God bless women for standing in that role. But I would ask you, I'm going to ask you. I told you I was going to ask you this before when we were talking about it. Like, would you go to a church if the pastor was a woman? And be honest, don't lie.
Honest answer. Probably not. But I
Probably
want to tell you why. Not because I think it's wrong, but because
Why don't you think it's wrong? I'd like to hear that. I think everybody would.
Okay. All right.
Hey, me and Mark are on opposite sides of the table for the first time.
Okay. So again, we're talking context here.
Mhm.
I believe that context is important, and I'm with you that the Bible has put the leadership role, that responsibility, solely on the shoulders of the man.
Right.
We're in complete
Okay.
agreement on that. But you have to look at other examples in the Bible of situations where a woman not only led, but taught and was commended for that. And the most popular of that was Phoebe. Okay, so I want to read Romans.
For friends.
Not that Phoebe. Oh, I don't think Paul and her would have got along real well. But let me read Romans
I
16.
thought you were going to say Deborah.
That's Old Testament.
Oh.
I want to stick, and there are lots of Old Testament examples, but let's stick with the New Testament.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Since most of the scripture's there. So Romans 16, 1 through 2. I commend you, Phoebe, our sister, who is a servant of the assembly that is in wherever that's at.
Chin Creary.
Yeah, that you receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of the saints, and that you assist her in whatever matter she may have need from you. For she herself also has been a helper of many and of my own self. Okay. So this is someone who has played an important role, and this isn't the best example. I'm going to get to.
I was going to say that. Excuse me.
So a better example is Priscilla. All right. So this is Acts 8. I've got to look over the top of my glasses. Acts 18, 26. Now this is talking about a guy by the name of Apollos. Right? He began to speak boldly in the synagogue, but when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. Okay, so this is the one that I really wanted to do. Priscilla is the wife of Aquila. Okay, And the fact that she's listed first here is important because at the time, in most societies, women did not play nearly as big a role as men. They weren't important. They simply weren't valued like they are today. But the fact that he talks about that both of them took this guy aside and taught him means that she played an important role in straightening up this guy's doctrine.
Mhm.
Okay. You can't you can't just put that to the side. You can't choose one and not look at the other.
I agree. I don't
Okay.
disagree with that.
Now, did it say that Priscilla served in the role as pastor?
No.
Nope, it did not.
Yeah.
So I think where our problem and where we may not see eye to eye on things is in terminology. Okay. So we're clearly okay with having a female music director because we do.
Mhm.
Randy does a great job.
Mhm.
Okay. You're the pastor, but we have female Sunday school teachers. Okay. A rose, if you call it by any other name, does it not smell just as sweet? Okay. So if we call those things something different, does a pastor not fill the role, not play the role of a teacher? Absolutely. Does a pastor have more important roles than just a Sunday school teacher? Yes, you do significantly more. Where you said men have not stepped up to fill these roles there, and we don't have that problem in our particular church, but there are places in the world where men, for whatever reason, don't do this. Okay. So I have no problem with when a man drops the baton, a woman of God picking up that baton and filling that role when she has to. Now, is it preferable? I will say no. But we don't live 2,000 years ago when women societally are not the equals of men.
I don't know that it's about equality. Everybody wants equality, but I don't want to be
What about capability, though?
different capability. All right, perfect.
Can a woman
All
share the
right,
gospel?
yeah.
A person who hears the gospel from a woman and makes a decision for Jesus, are they not just as saved?
All right, so everybody, not to get off your point, but to your point, or kind of a sidestep of your point. I've seen something where people are like, "Well, I guess the women when they saw Jesus at the tomb, they should have kept quiet. They didn't run and tell everybody. They didn't. They went and told who?
The disciples.
They went and told Peter, and they told John. They told those guys. That's what they did. Now, I don't care. As far as me personally. All right, so perfect example. About how men and women are equal, but they're different. My wife would have an issue with somebody, maybe another woman, maybe let's just use that, and they might be chippy with her. They might say something, and I say, well, that's fine, I'll handle it. But when I call or when I go, not being ugly, not being forceful, but when I call, I get a totally different. I don't get no blah blah blah. I don't get none of that. It's all good.
You're right.
I mean, yeah, because my kids. No, don't get me wrong. My wife, and she can throw down now. I mean, she'll whip our kids, and I don't care if you don't like that. And if you don't think you should whip your kids, then you probably should get off the podcast. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
another.
I'm definitely with you on that.
But anyway,
You can look at kids and how they act and tell if their parents
well,
discipline them with the
but
rod.
the reality. All right, so my kids, I come home. Now I have a 14-year-old at home. My oldest boys, they're grown and they're doing their own thing. So I got a 14 and a JB will be 6 August. But my wife can threaten them, can whip them, can do whatever. The worst thing in the world that them boys can hear is wait till your daddy gets home. I don't have that problem.
Right. And
And if I do,
that's because your household is following the example that has been set out in Scripture by God.
and so I feel like so that's where my heart is. I feel like that same setup is should be in the church. I think women have a role. I think that women can teach Sunday school. We don't have a woman teacher that teaches a men's class, or we don't. The only teachers we have they teach children and and I'm not saying that makes us oh yeah look at it. I'm not saying that. That's just the way it is. Um, any when we have couple classes, a man teaches that class, but it's not. But here's the thing: the argument to me is one of those arguments that's like this is just wasting time. They're just wasting time. We're wasting like we're fighting over something like why why is this so
It matters. You wanted to say, why does this matter? It does matter.
it does matter.
But in the grand scheme of things, arguing over this issue is not bringing people to Jesus.
Bingo. And I just didn't know it was an argument. I didn't even know that I knew some other churches had done that. And look, I know women that pastor churches of other denominations, and I think a lot of those ladies. I have a good friend that I think a lot of her. She pastors a church in another denomination. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I also don't go, you shouldn't be pastoring. Like, look, it ain't your job to go around to everybody and say, well, I mean, I believe what I believe. And if you don't agree with me, that's okay. Like, I don't know when. I know when. I do know when. But I don't know. I really don't know when or why we decided that, by gosh, you better agree with me. If you don't agree with me, like, get over yourself, man. Like, have a little humility and, be wrong. Totally could be wrong. This is how I feel. This is what I believe Scripture teaches. I don't think that men are superior to women, and I believe that men are different than women. I believe men can do things that women can't, and then there's very few of those things. Here's the reality: there's very few things that a man can do
as well as a woman.
All right, I'll give you. I don't even know if I should share this story, but I probably will. Yeah, my wife like told me like she was coming to me. And she was like, "Hey, this lady she knows, she's like, she was putting water in her radiator, and like she just kept putting water in it, and kept putting water in it, and wouldn't fill up, and then her car wouldn't crank. And I was like, well, okay, well, all right, well, what? And then like later, she was pouring it in the oil cap, the motor oil.
Oh,
And she's like, "How bad is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's no bueno, no bene." To invoke my Spanish, no bene. And this is what I said: like, there are some things women shouldn't do.
listen, when I called,
There are some
I'm
things.
fixing to get in trouble because I'm fixing to be really specific. When I call down to Carolina Millworks and I need to know something about building materials, the price of something, whatever, there is always the sweetest lady that answers the phone. And do you know what she does? She transfers me to the man who knows the answer.
Right. And the reality
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. And there's very few things that we're better at than women, honestly. I mean, women are just, and I'm not trying to embellish, like, they just are. They're super, like, first of all, I mean, women are just better than us. They smell good.
If
They
I
look
need
good.
something,
I mean,
like you were talking about earlier, if I need a situation handled diplomatically and I want it handled diplomatically, I get Britta to do it.
Yeah.
If
I don't really know about that.
If I know that it needs to be handled in a non-diplomatic fashion, I'm going to take care of it.
Mm. I'm almost the opposite. Like, as bad as I is like loud and passionate as I am, I'm usually the one that's more like, hey, let's try to do this. Like, let's try not. Brandy will burn it down with a smile on her face. You know what I'm saying? but she's
I can
my
see her with a torch.
oh yeah, you know her. I mean, but also though she's a mother. Like mamas just hit different. She's she's my helper. Um, she's so many things, but at the end of the day, like there's like my place is to lead.
Yeah.
Okay, like, and she respects that. Like that's the beautiful thing with me. Or like, look, guys, like I'm not portraying like, oh, I've got I got my woman in check, and y'all, no. She orders off of Amazon like you wouldn't believe. And we do have arguments about that from time to time. But the reality is like, though, when it comes down to things, she really respects what I think about something. Like she'll say, "Hey, what do she'll ask, or she'll say, not like she's asking permission, because I know how you him and the star out there. That makes me sick. I'm really winning fans tonight. But I come from the cloth that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. And she has her role and she has her gifts and I have my role. And do I always but like my job as her husband is to lead her well. And in that lead my children well. Now, you don't have to like that, but I believe that to be true. I believe that to be biblical. I believe it to be the blueprint for family life,
And I think maybe
which translates to the church.
the whole point that this argument can get to, the reality is that men have failed in our responsibility
Oh, I
that
mean,
God has given us.
and women have too. I mean, we all fail.
Right, but the whole argument comes from the fact that women have stepped in
Where men
and
did not.
and filled the roles that men have failed to. I completely agree with you on how God said things should be. Okay.
But we
But
live in a
you and I,
broken world.
we live in a broken world, and reality is not always the same as perfection.
Now, do I think that if there was a church where you had a bunch of gutless men who would not rise to the occasion and do what God called them to do, and see, that's what. All right, now you're gonna get me on. Now you're gonna get me on the soapbox. That's where, if I was a man and man, we're like, oh yeah, well, we're good at like, we chop trees down, we fix cars, we drive tractors, we're men, we lift weights, and I'm like, dude, I'm cool, man. Like I'm all about it, man. I'm like, let's put the loincloths on and let's just go out and let's get our clubs and like, dude, I love being a man. Like there ain't a thing about being a man except about being wrong all the time. But we wasn't wrong till women showed up. But anyway, there's not a thing in the world.
What a day.
There's not a thing in the world that I don't like about being a man.
Right.
Like, dude, let's go. Like, that's the kind of man I am. That's what I want to be. I want to be that kind of guy. Like, I am but I want my wife, she's a girl. She's a girl. Like, she don't want to get cow poop on her shoes. And, she loves animals, but, oh, I don't want all that on me. That's what I want my wife to be a woman. Like, and maybe you don't feel that way, and that's fine. But I think God has given us like, and so it just goes back to, so if I was a man and I was in the church and I was so gutless that I wouldn't step up and do something, and a woman had to do it, then God bless that woman. So I'm gonna say that. But to the men, I say, shame on you. Dude, we want to be warriors. Dude, like I love like I'm not a pagan Viking. Although if you look at me, you can tell I probably come from some of that. I love that Viking thought. I love that, man. I love that mentality. Like, dude, it's me. Like, it's a war, man, dude. I want my axe. I want my shield. I love that stuff, man. And, and we talk about how tough we are. And then when you pray, oh, I don't do that. Shut the front door, dude.
Some toes now.
Dude, barrel chest out, man. Get the weights out. Let's go. Let's go to war. unless I want to go to war, and I love the weight room. I know that's not a secret. I love I want to lift it. People are like, man, dude, you're getting old. You need to cut back. You're gonna blow. Like, bring it on. Like, dude, when I get to heaven, the God's gonna be like, dude, you used everything you had.
So if there's, I think a lot of our audience is probably women, but if there are any men, if there are any
Wow.
men out there watching, there is nothing more manly that you can do than to lead somebody to Jesus. And we think that that's like a meek and mild, and it is the most Jesus was the most manly
He was a dude.
man.
You know what I like to say? Like, when football and all that. When I watch a kid and he's kicking it out in the weight room, or he's freaking tearing it up on the field, and I'm like, I'll say, like, yeah, that dude's a dude. He's a dude.
Jesus was
Jesus
a
was a
dude.
dude. He
Okay.
was a dude,
He was
man.
okay. So we know that he was a carpenter, which back then that probably meant he was a logger without a backhoe or a crane or a logging truck. Okay.
And he was doing stuff without a planer and a saw. I mean,
Right.
like
Okay. He had been whipped to where you couldn't tell that he was a human being and still carried his cross up a hill most of the way,
yeah.
which means he had to be built like a brick house.
Mm.
He was probably strong and muscular, a
Well,
man's man.
but in reality, regardless of what you think he may look like, and I tend to agree with Mark here. The reality is like, he's a dude, man. Like he carried my sin, he carried your sin, and like, dude, here's the thing about strong men. Here's the thing. Um, I've seen guys, bench press the world. I can bench press 400 pounds. I did 405 twice a day. By the way, really stoked about that. But I can't. But I can't. But here's the reality. I am also, in the same sentence, I am too weak to carry my own personal problems, my own sin. I can't do it. Like, I don't care what you bench. I don't care what you squat. I don't care how many burpees you can do. I don't care how long you can hold a plank. I don't care what you think you can endure. Although, we go. I think one thing for me, the weight room is an escape from like reality. Like, so I get to be Superman for like an hour. Um, Although I am getting older and I feel it. Um, but like, dude, be a man, man. Like, embrace, like, I want to embrace this season of being kind of middle aged, I mean, and I may be in the, I mean, people die every day in their 40s, I may be in my last days. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, I think that getting older is a gift. And you get to see all that. I remember when I was 19, 20, man, I remember when I was running, running like I could run, I could jump, now I'm like, I walked up the stairs a while ago. I'm thinking, like, it's going to rain. My knees killing me. And I think there's all kinds of those phases life would go through, man. And I think the thing is like, wherever you land on this ordeal, like, you can be mad with me, and you can be mad with Mark. You can say we're like, but I really don't think, though, that this is one of those conversations what is what I call heaven and hell issue. Like, I don't think you're going to hell because, like, dude, I don't.
And why are we focusing on these issues? That's my problem. Okay.
Because the enemy is hell bent on division, and
That's it.
anything he can do to divide us, he's going to do. And you said, "Well, I'm standing on Scripture." I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you. I think me and Mark both agree. I think Mark's a little more liberal on the topic.
I have
Not
never in my life
not liberal.
ever
Shut.
been described as
Okay.
liberal
Okay.
until just
Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, for those of you that don't know, the term liberal doesn't mean that he puts
No, it
lipstick
doesn't.
on the weekends and votes for Joe Biden. That's not, and that's not what it means. But I'm saying, like, I think there's a lot of areas, in the Baptist doctrine where people would probably call me liberal. I don't wear a suit. I don't, I don't preach. We don't even do Sunday night service here anymore. I mean, we're really going to hell. I mean, I just think that, like, man, dude, women are such a gift. Why would they ever want to be where a man is?
Right.
Like,
I agree with that.
I mean, y'all, like, we have our things to do. I mean, and women have their place. And I'm not saying that it's not, you know, just don't, everything's sexist now. If you're not sexist, you're racist.
Yeah.
You're a bigot. You're this, you're that. Give me a break, man. Like, here's the reality. This is what scripture says. All right. And like, but I'm not going to run across the aisle to another church over there and say, what are y'all doing? Y'all are going to hell, you know? Like, do you, man? Like, and hey, whatever happens, happens. But I'm just telling you where I land on it is every time the role of pastor is ever defined in the church, it never, ever, ever, ever. Priscilla was a great woman of God. And man, we got some great women of God here, man. Dude, I can't tell you about the amount of women and in the 14 years I've been here who have been prayer warriors, who have been Sunday school teachers, who have fed kids on VBS, who have taught kids on VBS, who have led people to Jesus, and God bless, and have kept a whole lot of hell prayed down. And why would we, like, why, like, it's like, you know, it's kind of like we talking about sports. It's kind of like nobody plays football and's like, oh, please let me play offensive line. Everybody wants to be the quarterback. Everybody wants to be the running back. Everybody wants to be the star. And here's the reality, man. I played football and I run for a lot of yards. And I would always, the paper, back, I was in the 90s, so we didn't have social media, but the newspaper person would they would ask me questions after the game. And no matter what I was feeling, now sometimes my boys didn't block as well as other times, but now I had some dudes, and I would say if it wasn't for those guys right there, I wouldn't have nothing. Like, I wouldn't. Like, I don't care if Bo Jackson is your running back. If you don't have anybody to, well, maybe Bo can do it, maybe. But in the reality is,
Bo and James Bostic. You would only know who he is if you're an Auburn fan.
Yeah, Felix Jones from Arkansas. I mean, I think about Trent Richardson from Alabama, even though and Derrick Henry. I mean, but like any good running back or quarterback would tell you, there is a reason that quarterbacks they take good care of the offensive lineman. You know why they take care of them? They take care of all those guys. Like, I seen where one quarterback in the NFL bought every one of his linemen like a brand new, like some kind of vehicle. I don't remember what it was, but you know why they do that? Because they know without them, they ain't got you can't throw the ball on your back.
That's right.
You can't run the ball if there ain't no hole. I don't care. And so, like, we all have a role to play in the church, in God's kingdom, and it's okay wherever you land. Like, I would be totally fine not being. I would be totally fine not being the pastor. Like, but I again, I don't know why it's such a, man, people are like social media, man. And this goes back to, and I'm going to get into some, probably my flesh a little bit here, but social media has taught people you can say whatever you want to say without getting punched in the mouth.
That's right.
Obviously, some of y'all forgot what it's like to be on a playground in 1995 and say something about somebody's mama and get punched right in the face. And I mean, I'm not advocating for violence here, but I'm just telling you, like, everybody's big talk. I got a keyboard. I say what I want to say, but no, you won't.
Yeah.
Not real life.
I think we can agree there are clearly defined roles for man and woman that God has put forth.
Yes.
That's without question. I think we can also probably agree that this world does not in any way, form, shape, or fashion follow the perfect.
No, but when we talk about the world versus the church, I mean, we talk about not taking on the mindset of the world. But I think that's in a lot of areas. It's not just this. This is the main reason we're actually even bringing this up is because it's just been kind of a hot topic.
Hot topic.
And, and hey, listen, you don't, we would be glad for you to email us, comment. Like, we'll address it.
I like answering questions. No, I don't.
No, we'll address it on a podcast. I'm not getting in a keyboard war.
Right.
Dude,
So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Some good questions. If you want to see your questions answered, On a podcast, you have to send them in.
Yeah, I'm kind of actually surprised we don't get more questions, or feedback or kickback or whatever. But I mean, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, share. And hey, man, like, dude, if we can get to the place, like, I would love to have a live episode where we could field questions and stuff like that and really kick them back. But the reality is we need your interaction. Without you, there is no. I mean, without you, there is no show.
Right.
I mean, it's just me and Mark sitting here at the table having a really good time.
Yeah, I do. Okay. So I do this not so much for them. I do this because this is good for me.
It is good for me. But sometimes after we get through recording, I'm like, I might have got a little too cavalier.
I edit all that out.
Oh, no, you don't. I watched the last episode. No, you don't. But we do want you. We do. I mean, we are doing this. Well, number one, we're doing this because we feel like this is what God wants us to do. And number two, we're doing this because we want to reach people with the gospel. And number three, it is really good therapy for us.
Yeah.
But the first two are the
If they could see the stuff that we talk about before we hit the record button.
Yeah, probably. But so Mark, like I said, Mark's a liberal now, and I'm not. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But hey, like, if you got something, here's what I see a lot of comments on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm like, I see somebody saying, well, I guess they're going to hell. They said that, but they're going to hell because Leviticus says if you eat pork, you're going to hell. Okay, like, quiet, just contain the crazy and the retarded. I mean, I said retarded. I'm sorry. Like, quit saying stuff that, like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, yeah, we're not under the Levitical law. We're not. Like, so you can eat pork. Go look at Acts where Peter. I mean, but people who have no idea what the Bible even, like, they know what it says, and they're the people who know what the Bible says but don't have any idea about context or about covenant or about any of this, and they're spouting off of the mouth. They're like a teenager with a machine gun going into a mall.
So if there's nothing else that this does but encourage you to go look at the Bible yourself, read it.
And it doesn't mean that the Old Testament is not valid. It just means, it's valid to a point. Like, there's all kinds of things we can learn.
I should probably have used Deborah as
yeah.
as an
I mean,
argument.
you can learn a lot of things, but like, and mistakes and things that people made, but we're not under the law, we're under grace. But also, being under grace, Paul, we have, these things where it's like, hey, if a man desires,
Would you agree with me
I doubt
that
it.
it's that it's better if we were to follow Paul's instructions?
It's better.
It's better. Would you also agree with me that if we don't, and it's imperfect, I can still use that?
I'm not a bigot, even though people say I am. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said that earlier at some point in the podcast. Like, I've seen churches where the men were so gutless, and I say that because you know why? Because I'm a man, and you know what I can do? I can't say anything about. I can't say negative about this. But you know what I can say? I can say something about me. The men in churches are so spineless. And let me tell you something, dudes. It ain't about me. I'm not Mr. Dude. I just was like, God was calling me, and I was like, no. I'm like Moses. I can't talk good. I got a stutter in this shit. And God's like, no, I got you. And you keep coming up with all these excuses. Like, man, be a man. Put your feet on the ground, wind at your face, and just let's go, man.
Step up to the plate.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite 90s movies, when we're talking about 90s, is called is the movie Signs,
Mhm.
and Jaquan Phoenix, or however you say his name,
Joaquin.
Joaquin Phoenix, however you
What
say
did
it.
you, Joaquin?
Well, it starts with a J. Okay, I didn't say I was
Joaquin.
no
It's
scholar.
French, not Spanish.
No wonder I was on academic probation in college. But anyway, the reality is Joaquin Phoenix. Well, he played Mel Gibson's younger brother, and he was like a baseball guy at some point. But anyway, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is, he had a record for home runs when he played, but he also had a record for strikeouts. Anyway, and people would always be like, "Hey, you strike out," and he always would say it just felt wrong not to swing. All right, and I played baseball in high school, and it's all right, whatever. But that was kind of my motto, man. Like, dude, I ain't going. I may have struck out looking some, but like, it just feels wrong not to swing, man. It feels wrong not to go out. You know, one of my things in football used to be like, I guess maybe this is my plea to men. If we have, you said we only have women viewers.
I said
Are we the View?
mostly
Are we the
women.
View? Are we like a Republican View or something? Whoopi
Well, no,
Goldberg.
apparently not. I'm a liberal.
Oh yeah, well you're definitely on the View then. And
I'm not the
one of the
I'm
things
not the Joy Behar.
one of you are the Joy. No, I'm definitely not Whoopi now, but you might be Joy Behar. You got a satchel over there. One of my things about I always said, because I think men love that warrior mentality. And I always said, like, when I played ball, like, when some people shy away from the big moments, it's 4th down and goal. It's the bottom of the 9th. 2 strikes. 4th and goal. If you don't know, I'm referencing football and baseball, so you don't think I'm retarded. I'm just, it's the end of the game. You're at the plate. You're getting the ball, whatever it is. I wanted the ball. I wanted when the light shine the brightest. It's not about. I just wanted to be in that kind of situation where, like, God, give me the ball. God, you know, and what happens. I've been in some 4th and goals where I got stuffed. I've been in some 4th and goals when I scored a touchdown. You're not always going to score. But if we had men with that mentality in the church where it was like, dude, God, I want the ball. Like, throw me the ball.
Yeah.
Throw me the ball, and like, let's see what happens. I think this conversation wouldn't even be happening.
I think that's going to be a great podcast topic in the future. A challenge to men to be the men that God.
Dude, there's nothing better than a challenge as a man. Men are, and here's another thing.
Competition.
Men,
Okay, so real men want competition. They love a challenge.
we're built.
And if you don't, you're just
Men need a mountain to climb.
iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just, I'm not competing with Mark to get to heaven, but I guarantee you, if you said, "Hey, who's going to do more push-ups?" I ain't going to stop until he stops, or until my body quits.
Yep, I'm with
So you know what I'm saying. So like we
press
we need I couldn't either 12 years ago. I mean, I just people always like, oh, you're, and I'm not saying that maybe God doesn't bless us in different ways, but like there's a lot of work went into that.
Yeah,
a lot of early mornings, So anyway, so we don't know where you land, but hey, we'd love to hear your questions. We'd love to hear your comments. And as I always say, if we don't like them, we'll just ignore them.
Leave them on Facebook.
Mark won't. I will.
Facebook is probably where we will see it the most. You can always send us an email
at honestconversation25@gmail.
That's it.
It only took 2 years. I know it.
Good.
Only took 2 years.
Comments in the YouTube section of comments. We get those. We love to know that you're watching. We love your input. We thank you for watching.
We do thank you for watching.
We are kind of at the end of our time.
Yep.
So
like, share, follow. Email us questions,
comments. Just let us know what you think about this particular hot topic.
If you think Mark sucks, just say it.
If you think no, I can't say that. I can't say that. I'll tell you
Can't
what
say
else.
what.
I'll tell you.
What were you gonna say?
I'll tell you in just a second.
No.
Listen,
Pray for Mark.
now,
He's
listen, I have to edit your stuff out. I can stop myself before I have to.
I can't. So edit it out. You want to do another end?
Huh?
You want to do another end to the video?
What kind of
So
end?
like you want to edit that out?
No.
Okay.
What did you say?
You suck.
No, that's probably true. Thank you for watching. And until next time,
Have a good one.
have a good one. Thank you.